Okay, so on the first one, it gives you this type of shape. And again, on the first side is the side where it says surface area. So the surface area is one. And just like on your assessment tomorrow, the first 6 questions are based off of just finding the area. Okay, that's all you have to do. So it's one answer, it's not 2. And so when you look at this problem, it gives you 16 here, and then it gives you all the way across is 12. Okay, first of all, what shape is this? It's a cone. So then on the board is the cone formula, and the cone formula is pi r squared plus pi r L. What does the R stand for? Radius. Good. What does the L stand for? That's in a pyramid, would be LE. Okay, what about on a cone? What did the L stand for?
Length.
Not length. Good guess, though. I'll give you a hint. When we watched that clip of the people sliding down the fear factor pyramid, what were they representing? Do you remember the name? Slant height. There we go. So the L is the slant height. So that is on the outside edge. Now, something that did not show up in this worksheet, but very well could be on your assessment tomorrow. What happens if I were to give you this instead? If I were to give you this here and then this here, like these are both 6, and I don't give you the slant height, what do you use to find the slant height? I'll give you a hint. It's not on the board for this one. If I gave you the height and I gave you the radius, how would you find the slant height? What kind of shape is inside the cone that you've studied before? Huh? Besides a circle? No. A triangle. And more specifically, a right triangle. So you'd want to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared in order to find the slant height. But this one gave it to us. So for this particular answer, what you're going to do is you're going to take your calculator, whichever you're using, and you take pi times the radius, which I wrote down there without asking you. When it gives you 12 all the way across, you cut it in half, right? So that's 6 for the radius squared, plus pi times 6 times 16 is the slant height. So again, for a calculator, all I got to do is type it in and see what comes out, right? So me using my calculator that I have on here, I have a pi button. Not all of your calculators have pi buttons, or if you're using if you're using your phones, you probably don't have a pi button. You're just going to put in 3.14. So the point to my story with that part, or not even really a story, is the number that I get is going to be way more accurate because I'm using pi itself rather than just 3.14. And so my number that spit out at me for this one was 414.69. And if I put 3.14 in there and run it, it's not that, it's a little less. And that's because the decimal places aren't as far. So on your assessment tomorrow, just so you know, if you're within so many whatevers and it's one that has a pi in the problem solved, I will take that into account and I won't mark it wrong, is what I'm saying. So like me, my answer I got was 414.69. If you type the same thing in but use 3.14 instead, you get 414.48. So just so that you know, I'm not going to mark that wrong if it's just a little off like that because of what you used for pi, okay? But if it's a problem that didn't have pi, then it should be right on. Is everybody okay with how to find the area of a cone? Everybody good? Okay. So the second one. The second one that's on that sheet, what kind of shape is this? Okay, good try. It's not a pyramid though. What kind of prism? Good. It's a triangle-based prism, okay? And the thing that makes it a triangle-based, it's not necessarily sitting on the triangle, but there are two faces that are triangles. So that's why it's a triangle-based prism, okay? These parts right here that I'm going to put in red, these are the parts that are triangle-based. That's what makes this a triangle-based prism, is those two triangles there, okay? So now, the area formula for a prism is perimeter of the base times the height of the object plus to be's or not to be's. So now when you're finding the perimeter of a triangle, there isn't a special formula for it. You just add all the sides together. So if I'm going around this triangle, if I start here, I'm going 16 units here, 17 units there, and 17 units back. How far did I go total? What's 17 plus 17 plus 16? 50. Then the h for this problem is the height of the object, or how long it is. Okay? How long it is this line right here. That's how the depth of it, or how long it was. So that 20 is my height, not the 15. The 15 is the height of the actual triangle. It's not the height of the prism. Okay? Then, plus 2 bases. You said it's a triangle-based prism. A triangle, to find the area of a triangle, is base times height divided by 2. The base of that triangle is 16. The height of that triangle is 15. And divided by 2. So then to come up with my final answer for this, the first thing I need to know is, what's 50 times 20? What? 1,000. Plus, if I take 2 times 15 times 16 and then divide it by 2, what number am I going to get? Huh? 120? So you took 2 times 16 times 15 and then divided it by 2? Okay, so then times yours by 2, and what do you get? You get 240? Okay. And then to find the final answer, if you add those together, what's 1,000 plus 240? 1,240. Okay, that's the rectangular, or not rectangular, the triangular prism. All right, number 3. What kind of shape is number 3? Sphere. How'd you know? Okay, now on the sphere, the area formula for a sphere, remember, is 4 pi r squared. R stands for the radius, or at least it did for the cone, so it's got to do the same thing for the sphere. If I give you 14 where it is 14 the radius? No, it's not. I got to take half of it. What's half of 14? 7. So that means it's 7 on both sides. So to find the area of this sphere, I take 4 times pi times 7 squared. And this is the same type of problem that I had for the first one, where if you use 3.14 as compared to the actual pi button, you might have a little bit different answer, but it's ultimately the same. So I have 615.44, and I used 3.14 for pi on the first time. And if I actually type the pi button, which I know some of you have, I end up with 615.75. So again, there's just a little bit of a difference. It's not that much to notice, okay? So I'm going to give you either one for that, is what I'm trying to say. Is everybody good with how to find the area of a sphere? Okay. What about number 4? What kind of shape is number 4? Cylinder. Good. And for that one again, 11 yards goes here, 10 yards goes there. The area formula for a cylinder is 2 pi RH plus 2 pi r squared. What's the radius for this shape? 5. Good. So 2 times pi times 5. What's the height for this object? 11. Good job. And what happens to most people is, for this particular part, they don't get it right because they just type it wrong on their calculator. They can have everything right, but what you can't do is you can't do this. Don't trust your phones to do it. Okay, that's what's going to happen. Some of you are using your phones to do the math on this, and I have seen people type it like this and go, but I typed it right, and here's what they type. They type 2 times sign pi, which 3.14, times sign 5 times sign 11 plus sign 2 times sign pi, and that right there is where it gets all wrong. Because with the order of operations, remember, you're supposed to do exponents first, well, grouping symbols first, then exponents, then multiply, divide, then add, subtract. So basically what has to happen is, if you're going to use your phone, do those two parts first, and then add those two pieces together. Okay, so be careful with that. If you have a graphing calculator, like I know some of you guys do, you can type this in as it looks and it'll tell you the answer. Okay, so when I type it, so the first part was 345.4. And the second part's 157, and if I add those together, I get about 502.4. And again, if I leave the pi in there, it should be just a little off, but not much. Okay? How are the cylinders? Are you okay with those? Okay. The next shape, number 5. What kind of shape is number 5? A rectangular what?
Prism.
Prism. Right. Oops. Okay. So to find the area of a rectangular prism, again, we take the perimeter times the height plus 2 big B's. Same one that we did when we did the triangle base. We're just a rectangle this time. In order to find the area or the perimeter of a rectangle, you simply just count all the sides together, correct? So like around this thing here, 5, this would be 10, plus 5, plus 10 again. What is 5 plus 10 plus 5 plus 10?
30.
Yep. So the perimeter is 30. What's the height of the object?
10.
Not quite. Like this is the base we're saying on this particular thing, Sophia. So the height would be like, how deep is it? It goes 3. Okay? The height of the rectangle, yes, is 10. But not of the actual object. Unless you did this, Sophia. Unless you made this bottom base down here, I'll put it in red so you can see it. Unless you make this the bottom base, then your perimeter would be a lot different. This would be 5 here, and this would be 5 there, and this would be 3 here and 3 there. And then you'd add those together. You'd have 16 here, but then you'd have 10 there. Okay? Here's the point about that. It doesn't matter, because in the end, when they get the final answer, it'll be the same number. okay? Plus 2, and I'm calling this the base. How do you find the area of the base? What's 5 times 10? 50. So then 3 times 30 would be 90. Plus 2 times 50 is 100. And 90 plus 100 is 190. Now, I did that problem third hour, and we used a different base. So Sophia, like what you were talking about for the height being 10, we used the 3 and the 5 as the bottom base in first hour, and guess what number we got for the end? We still got 190. Yeah, we still get the same number. Okay. Number 6, are you guys okay with the cones? Everybody good with cones? 7 and 9, we already had we just did a rectangular prism. Are you guys okay with the rectangular prisms? Yeah? How would you do number 8? What's that called? For number 8? What type of shape is that when it's cut in half like that? Anybody know? A hemisphere. Okay. How would you find the area of a hemisphere?
You just like multiply half of the circle also.
Yeah, you just take the sphere and divide it by 2, right? Okay, that would be it. So I don't think we need to do that one unless you want me to. But we just cut it in half. Are you guys okay with, the only one that we did not do is we did not do a pyramid one for area. Do you want me to make up a pyramid one for that? We didn't do a pyramid one. No? Okay. On the back side, I really wish this worksheet would be able to print better than this. Okay, on the back side, it's now all volume. And again, on your assessment tomorrow, it's going to be 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 6 questions at the end are going to be just find the volume. And the one thing that I wanted to make sure you guys saw on the back side is that these are what we call composite shapes because they're made up of more than one shape. Okay? It's like me doing this. Like I take the bowl I have here from my lunch and I put the wipe jar thing there from the bacterial wipes and put them on top of each other. And if this was one whole unit, how would I find the volume of the whole thing? Well, I find the volume of the bottom, find the volume of the top, and add them together. And that's what's going to happen on this worksheet or this part. So me doing this, I can get a couple shapes done without having to do too many of them. So on number 1, for instance, what I like to do is I like to do these shapes in parts. And when I draw this one, I'm only going to draw one part at a time. So there's the first one roughly. It's a horrible drawing. That's not my best work there. Where that's 16, that's 4, and this is 6. In order to find the volume of a prism is B times H. And big B stands for area of the base. So you don't see the back side, but that's what it would look like. It would be something like this. To find the area of the base, it's sitting on this bottom right here. So what I would do is I would take length, 16, times width, 4. 16 times 4. And then the height, or the H, is the height of the object. How tall is it? It's 6. So then using my calculator, I would take 16 times 4 times 6. And I get 384 somethings. Then on the top of that, you have this shape. you have a triangular based prism on the top of it. Same formula, I need to use big B times H, but the difference now is when I find big B, it's not a rectangle, it's a triangle. And that is up on the board. So for finding the top part, I'm still using big B times H. Big B in this problem, area of the base. It says that this from here to here is 12. And from here to there is 9, it says. So 9 times 12 divided by 2. Then the height of the object, or the depth of the object, like how tall is the box? How long is this line right here? This is the part that is kind of confusing with this problem. How far is it from here to here? Huh? 4, right? If this is 4 here, then that means that this is 4 there. And if that's 4 here, then it's also 4 there. So the height of the object is 4. So if I take 9 times 12 and divide it by 2, and then times it by 4, according to my calculations, I get 216. To find the volume of the entire shape, I take that 216 and that 384 and I add them together. So I got to add these two parts together to get the whole thing. Anybody know what 384 plus 216 is? Bigger. Huh? Not 7. 600. Okay? I get 600 somethings, and that was measured in feet, so that'd be feet cubed if I was having measurements down there. Now, the reason why I like this worksheet is because I can do a couple different shapes at the same time. I don't have to do them each individually. On your assessment tomorrow, some of them are going to be like this, where they're two shapes put together. Most of them are just single shapes, but there's a couple of them here and there where they're going to be double shapes. Okay? Find each of them and add them together. Now, on that back side, the next one, number 2, you have this thing going here. And this going like that. This comes in here like this. That goes like that. This is 11. And that's 6. Oh, not centimeters. Meters. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Okay, the picture isn't very good, I know, but the picture on the worksheet's better. What kind of shapes make up this object? Okay, a cylinder for sure. We got a hemisphere though, but here's the thing. You got a hemisphere on the top and a hemisphere on the bottom. If you take the top and the bottom and cut them and put them together, wouldn't you have a whole sphere then? You would. So which part would you like to find first? The volume of the cylinder or volume of the sphere?
Sphere.
Okay. So the volume of the sphere is 4 times pi times the radius. How big is the radius? 6 to the 3rd power divided by 3. Again, by putting in the pi there, you can either use 3.14 or you can use the pi button. It's your choice. And if I do all that correctly, it looks like I've got 904.32 for the volume of the sphere. And I used 3.14. I didn't use the pi button. Okay? Then you also said cylinder. So to find the volume of the cylinder, I take pi times r squared times h. Or in our problem, pi times 6, because you told me that was the radius, times, what's the height? 11. So for that one, I get 1,243.44. And then I add to it the 904.32. And I get 2,147.76 centimeters cubed. So looking at the last four that are on there, is there any of those ones that you'd like me to go through for sure? On number 3, for instance, what two shapes make up number 3? A hemisphere and a rectangular prism. Good. What about number 4? A rectangular prism and a what? Right. Number 5 would be 2 rectangular prisms. And number 6 would be a what?
Snow cone.
Right? A cone and a hemisphere, correct?
Yes.
What's the only shape that this worksheet totally neglected?
Pyramid.
Yeah, there isn't a single pyramid on here. That doesn't mean there isn't going to be one. So make sure you're prepared for that one too. Know how to find all the pieces. Okay? You may have to use the Pythagorean theorem in order to find like the slant height or anything like that. Okay? Do you want me to go through anything else on the worksheet or even a pyramid one? Again, all formulas will be on the board. So I'm not asking you to memorize the formulas. I would not want you to do that in the first place. I would have given it to you, or they're on the board. The first 6 questions are going to be find the area of the shape. Then the next 6 questions are going to be find the volume of the shape. And that is it. That is all you have to do. So the worksheet that I handed you guys, I just wanted to go through some on there, and I wanted to have that so that you saw what the problems are. Because the problems on the test look like them in some cases. There might be some of them where I put them together, like the volume parts in the back, but there also could be just regular shapes, okay? If you want with that worksheet, you can keep it, you can throw it, you can do whatever you want with it. It's yours for like a study guide is basically what I did for that, okay? Instead of giving it to you as an assignment, you can keep it and hang on to it, use it to practice, or you can get rid of it. It's your choice, okay? But your assessment is tomorrow. Then on Monday, I'm going to make sure I say this out loud so that everybody remembers. On Monday, you will need to bring your Chromebooks. We will be using them for the project that's coming starting Monday. Okay? You will need to bring your Chromebooks. I'll make sure I put it in the stream as well on Google Classroom so people know, but you need to bring them on Monday if you don't already bring them. Okay?